What happens when a rookie, written off by critics and sent back into the G League, responds by dropping 49 points like it's personal? On January 7th, 2025, Reed Sheppard didn't just play basketball, lit the court on fire. This is the night that forced the NBA to wake up and stop sleeping on him. Reed Sheppard's rookie season was supposed to be the start of something special. Coming out of Kentucky, he was hailed as one of the most intelligent guards in the draft. Crafty, efficient, composed. But the NBA doesn't care about reputations. It cares about results. And for Reed, the results just weren't there. Through the first half of the season with the Houston Rockets, his game looked off. He averaged just 3.3 points per game, barely shot 32% from the field, and was hitting less than 28% from the deep. The numbers weren't just cold, they were alarming. He wasn't getting minutes, and when he did, he played like someone overthinking every dribble. The confidence he once carried like armor was slipping away. Then came January 6th. No announcement, no press conference, just a quiet move. Reed Sheppard was sent to the G League. For most rookies, it's framed as development. For Reed, it felt like being shipped off in the middle of the night. No spotlight, no warning, just pack your bags and prove you still belong. Behind the scenes, it hurt, not because he was above the G League, but because he had dreamed of this moment his whole life. And now, half a season in, he was being told that he wasn't ready. The critics called it a soft fall. Reed knew better. It was a crossroads. One path led to obscurity, the other to the loudest comeback the league didn't see coming. Less than 24 hours after the demotion, Reed Sheppard found himself pulling on a different jersey, one that didn't say Rockets across the chest. It was the Rio Grande Valley, G League territory. A smaller gym, a smaller crowd, but for Reed, it was the biggest stage of his life. There was no stars to play behind here, no veterans to pass the ball to, no rotations to politely wait his turn in. For the first time in months, the ball was his. The plays were for him, and he wasn't just a role player anymore. He was the player, and he knew it. His opponent, the Oklahoma City Blue, a solid G League squad, but names and stats didn't matter tonight. Reed wasn't battling another team. He was fighting for the version of himself that had doubted, hesitated, and disappeared in Houston. When he stepped onto the hardwood, something shifted. The lights were dimmer, sure, but the fire inside him burned brighter than ever. He looked calm, but he was boiling underneath. This wasn't just a bounce back, it was personal. This was the game that could change the narrative. No scouts, no ESPN, just Reed, a ball, and a question hanging in the air. Would he fade deeper into the shadows, or would he remind everyone what they forgot? The ball tipped, and Reed Sheppard didn't blink. From the very first possession, it was clear he wasn't here to survive, he was here to erupt. Within the opening minutes, he nailed a step-back three so clean it barely rustled the net. Then came a crossover into a floater, a catch-and-shoot triple from the corner, a pull-up in transition that left his defender shaking his head. Reed dropped 15 points in the first quarter alone, and the Oklahoma City Blue had no answers. You can almost hear the collective "uh-oh" from the bench, but he wasn't done. In the second quarter, he shifted into a different gear. When defenders started closing out hard, he blew past them with sharp hesitation moves. When they sagged off, he made them pay from the deep. He added another 12 points, pushing his first half total to 27. And more than scoring, it was the way that he carried himself: cool, focused, dangerous. By the third quarter, the crowd had fully locked in. Every time Reed touched the ball, there was a shift. Fans leaned forward, eyes wide, holding their breath. You can only feel the tension, the anticipation. Reed wasn't just playing, he was igniting everyone around him. The Vipers bench exploded after each make, dancing, chest bumping, towel waving. And Reed, he barely celebrated, just turned around and got ready for the next possession. By the end of the night, the numbers were absurd. 49 points on 17 of 33 shooting, 8 of 19 from beyond the arc, plus 6 assists, 5 rebounds, and 3 steals. A complete game, a superstar performance. But what the stat sheets couldn't show was the fire. Every bucket was laced with frustration, hunger, defiance. He didn't just silence the doubters, he embarrassed them. This wasn't a feel-good story. This was revenge, written in three-pointers and sweat, and the NBA was about to feel it. By the time the final buzzer sounded, the whispers had already started. Reed Sheppard dropped 49, within an hour. The internet had caught fire. NBA Twitter was in disbelief. The same analysis who had written him off weeks ago were suddenly double-checking box scores. The G League highlight clips started making the rounds. Reed draining step-back threes, slicing through defenders, tossing no-look dimes. The narrative flipped almost overnight. From bust to breakout, from needs more time to why isn't he back in the NBA already? But Reed wasn't finished, not even close. Over the next several games with the Rio Grande Valley Vipers, he kept his foot on the gas. He was averaging over 30 points per game, picking apart defenses like a surgeon. But it wasn't just about scoring anymore. He was running the offense, making the right reads, lifting teammates, and leading like someone who had been through the fire and came out sharper. The raw stats were impressive, but the poise, that's what made people pay attention. He wasn't just playing better, he was commanding the game. Back in Houston, the Rockets front office started rewatching film. This wasn't the same Reed they just sent down in January. His shot looked smoother, his decisions were faster, his confidence was unmistakable. By mid-March, the call finally came. Reed Sheppard was heading back to the NBA, not as a project, not as a bench warmer, but as a player reborn. And this time, he wasn't coming back quietly. When Reed Sheppard stepped back on the NBA court, something was different. He didn't carry the same hesitancy that shadowed him months earlier. His shoulders were squared, his eyes locked in, and in poetic fashion, his first game back was against none other than Oklahoma City Thunder, the parent team of the G League squad he torched. And he lit them up again. 25 points, controlled, efficient, and fearless. He attacked the rim. He pulled up from the three with zero hesitation. It wasn't just a revenge tour, it was a reintroduction. Then came Brooklyn. 16 points, a pair of steals, and crisp playmaking that kept defenders guessing. Suddenly, Reed wasn't just holding his own, he was impacting games. Night after night, he delivered double-digit performances, looking more like a rotational lock than a developmental prospect. That legendary 49-point in the G League, it wasn't a one-off. That 49-point explosion became the spark, the symbol of Reed Sheppard's turnaround. Coaches began referencing it during film sessions, using it as a lesson in resilience. Teammates brought it up during practice with a new level of respect, even awe. Fans who once doubted him now chanted his name, not as a punchline, but as a promise fulfilled. That night redefined him. He didn't just show flashes of potential, he showcased grit, hunger, and mental toughness that couldn't be taught. He proved that he could take a hit, fall hard, and rise even harder. He wasn't a fluke, he wasn't fragile, he was forged by failure and fueled by fire. And every time he stepped onto the NBA floor now, it wasn't about proving others wrong, it was about proving himself right. Reed Sheppard doesn't just belong in the NBA, he demands to be there. And after everything that he's been through, who's gonna argue with him now? That 49-point game wasn't just a comeback, it was a declaration. A message from a kid knocked down, counted out, and came back swinging. It said, "I'm not done," never was. And every time that he steps onto the floor now, the league doesn't just see a name they overlooked, they see a problem they can't ignore. Because Reed Sheppard isn't here to survive, he's here to rewrite what resilience looks like. The league may have slept on him once, but now they're wide awake.